Well, how's it going, everybody? My name is Cam White, and welcome back to your favorite monthly horoscope. Not what the fuck is going on in the universe, but for August 2020. I'm really glad you guys could be here with me. I am shooting this live at the moment on July 21st, so I'm just going to give a few minutes for a couple people to come in to this live stream. Kind of also set in my microphone real quick. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with August of 2020. I don't want to recap on July yet, simply because. I don't want to recap on July yet. Skirt. I gotta mute myself over here. There we go. I'm on Twitch over here. Anyway, yeah, there's kind of a lot going on last month that was kind of intense, and there's also a lot going on this month too. It doesn't really actually stop. And before I continue, yeah, like I don't want to like say like, oh, this is how July was. I don't know how July finishes or how it ends yet, but July was definitely kind of intense, just having Saturn going back into Capricorn, then Mars going into Aries, and then the Mercury retrograde squaring all of that, and then these two new moon in Cancers. One was an eclipse, this other one opposite Saturn. It was kind of gunky, kind of a lot, kind of messed up. And yeah, I think getting out of that going into August, things are looking a little bit, I don't want to say better, but a lot more exciting, I think. At least there's some more fun energy coming up this month. Just a few things before I begin too. I'm probably not going to do timestamps for this video. I'm definitely not going to try. It's definitely not going to be. I'm going to try not to make it go 2.5 hours like the last one. I don't even know if I'm going to get. There's like no one here with me live. Let's see if anyone comes in. If no one's here live, that's fine too. I still got to record this, but yeah, I'm not going to be doing timestamps. It's going to be too much. I'm going to try to not take 2.5 hours to do all of this, but yeah, I think there was something else I wanted to say too, but I don't really remember. So I think we should get started into it. So here's the list of everything we've got going on in August. As you guys can tell, last month I did a very tiny list. This is a very big list. I really did try to keep it down to the more important things, but there's just a lot of important shit going on this month. Because after this month, I mean, we go into September with Mars retrograding and basically the rest of the year. August is kind of like the last moment before, we get that kind of shine. And oh, you know what? Okay, I might have paused it there for a second. I'm sorry. I'm back. Anyway, a lot of shit going on this month, so let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. So first thing, this is actually today when I'm recording this. This is not the best chart to start this at, but that's okay. So starting August 1st, the main thing that we've got kind of going on is the sun's going to be squaring Uranus. The big thing that I think with the sun squaring Uranus, I don't think this is kind of like the biggest deal in the world. It's like 3 car alarms going on outside my house. With the sun squaring Uranus, I don't think this is going to be not necessarily the biggest deal in the world, but what's interesting about the sun square Uranus is, let me pull this back up. With the sun in Leo, Uranus and Taurus, these are the only really things in fixed signs at the moment. So there's this stubborn, frustration with it. Taurus, like Uranus and Taurus is like trying to get us out of our comfort zones and be like, ecstatic and volatile and unpredictable in areas that we usually like having some solidity or like some type of foundation towards. So it's like just uncomfortable energy. And then like having the sun in Leo, where there's a lot of pride involved. There's a lot of situational awareness, I guess, but also the sun in Leo could be just kind of like, I like to put like blinded in the heat of passion type energy. So starting August with the sun squaring Uranus, I think that there's just going to be this kind of like But there's this tension with wanting to do things our way and being stubborn about it, and also like having to just kind of go with what's happening, not necessarily I guess a good way to look at it is like Uranus and Taurus is like shit's just gonna, it's Uranus, it's gonna be volatile, shit's just gonna happen. Sometimes you can predict shit, sometimes you can't predict it, sometimes you can plan for it, sometimes you can't. And with the sun squaring Uranus, it's kind of like there's just stuff that it sounds like in August, there's this, and this is the sun too. This is just kind of like looking at, ourselves, kind of looking at basic like mundane stuff, nothing really too super specific, but kind of looking at like, hey, where are we, proud? Where are we, kind of, I don't want to say like in our ego or anything like that, but kind of just like, where do we feel more confident wanting things to go in more of our way versus the way that we're forced to do it, the way that we have to do it. And if you kind of look at this day too, like the moon's going to be in Capricorn, conjoining Jupiter, squaring Mars, just kind of looks like more of a rough day anyway. But having that sun square Uranus, it just looks like you have to get out of your comfort zone. Basically just stop, don't be egotistical, I guess. Just stop getting out of your own way, I think is a good way to look at it. But as we move forward, God, this month is really interesting too. I mean, if you look at it, like we've got, just so much happens. I don't even want to like summarize all of it. Let's just go one by one. Next thing that's going on, August 3rd, Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter. We will also have the full moon in Aquarius, and we will have Mercury opposite Saturn, all on August 3rd. That's kind of a lot. Also, I haven't not paying attention to my comments. Hi guys, thank you for the birthday wish. So when we look at August 3rd, let me just go ahead and pull up the chart here. Full moon. We're just getting off this full moon. This is 8 p.m. Let's actually rewind this a little bit. There we go. There's that full moon action. So we have the sun, full moon. What was the other thing? Yeah, full moon in Aquarius, Mercury opposite Saturn, and Mars squaring Jupiter. So this is a lot to break down. Let's just go ahead and get the full moon out of the way on this part. The full moon in Aquarius, I think, is going to be really interesting this year simply because of everything that we just had in Aquarius and everything that we're going to be having in Aquarius. I think this is going to really illuminate, like on a more of a mundane level, like what society feels about, this cause or this cause. Like I guess with the pandemic stuff, I think this is just going to be more of a bigger deal for the pandemic stuff. However, on a personal level, which is what I try to keep this, my channel at least more focused on as a personal level, I think this is just going to be kind of like understanding where, not necessarily where, I feel like more where we fit in. Where do we feel confident? Where do we feel connected? I think is a good way to put it. Where are our connections? I guess, how does that reflect our sense of self? The full moon in Aquarius is kind of like there's a representation of other people, of you. Like the sun's in Leo, right? It's kind of like about you, and having that full moon in Leo kind of like reflecting that side of like who you're connected to, who your networks are. There's this illumination, there's this understanding, I guess, where you fit in, where that role is. But the full moon, that full moon in Aquarius, I think it's just going to be kind of weird just because also like Mercury is going to be opposite Saturn, Mars is going to be squaring Jupiter, so it's not going to be like this fun full moon in Aquarius where we're usually like, how do we feel about things, and how does this, how do I feel like I'm connected to all of this? Having Mercury opposite Saturn is kind of like, getting really raw and real with like, all right, this is what needs to be said, this is what needs to be addressed, and now we're kind of facing Saturn and Capricorn. It's kind of like, when you put in an official complaint into something, it's kind of like, all right, like I'm doing this, here we go, I'm putting this in. Mercury opposite Saturn is just kind of our ideas, how we're communicating, where our mindset at. It's in Cancer, like it has been for the past, couple weeks now. There's a bigger focus on how we internally feel. There's a bigger focus on necessity. There's a bigger focus on protection, on nurturing, on defending. And as it's opposite Saturn, there's this sense of, pulling away, taking away, retracting in some type of sense in order to protect. And Mercury is, doing that vocally. Mercury is wanting to speak out that, be that voice of reason, I guess. And I think that's just going to make this, like this full moon in Aquarius really just feels like, understanding like this is where I stand, almost is where I would put this day. Because also with Mars squaring Jupiter, and this is why I kind of want to take a minute to dissect this here, because this is the first aspect of the sequence of events that is Mars retrograde. First, it squares Jupiter, then it's going to square Pluto, then it's going to square Saturn, then it's going to station retrograde, and then it's going to do all of that again, then it's going to station direct, and then it's going to do that all again. And this is the first step, and the first step is Mars applying to Jupiter. Jupiter's retrograde in this at this time. It won't be retrograde the next two times, but retrograde Jupiter Capricorn being squared by Mars moving forward is kind of like it's kind of like being ambitiously excited about doing something, but it doesn't really jive with the plan. I think a good way to look at Mars squaring Jupiter is kind of like your actions, intentions, conflicts, anger, resentment, getting in the way of optimism, getting in the way of our sense of spirituality, getting in the way of the way that we're constructing our idealism or our vision at the moment. Jupiter's in Capricorn, where, it's really revealing at this moment, and I guess on our time in history, is just how, you could look at this way in 2008 when we had the great recession, appropriate that a cop car drives by. This is just like a collectively, like, I don't want to, it is a dark time, but I think with Jupiter being, all about optimism, being about hope, about faith, and Capricorn, where it is in fall there is this sense of like, we can't just be we can't just see the glass half full right now. There has to be this sense of, it's both skepticism, but just reality that has to be seen. And Mars in Aries squaring Jupiter from this position is kind of like, Mars in Aries can be really ambitious to go and do something, but let's be realistic about the situation here. And Jupiter and Capricorn, this is the thing with Jupiter and Capricorn. It's going to be up to you guys individually to understand when Jupiter and Capricorn is saying, hey, you need to like not live above your means, like just take what you need. Let's be realistic here, but also understand when Jupiter and Capricorn is like, I guess just not operating, or the plan that you kind of have in store isn't realistic. It's not working. Or also, what I want to say is like, when you're just being like a Debbie Downer or being really hard against yourself, because also during this time, it's going to be easy to tell yourself no. And while it's going to be easy to be given a no while trying to tell yourself yes. Because if you look at the chart here, look at all of this. Like full moon in Aquarius, there's this understanding. There's Mercury opposite Saturn, so there is this sense of no, and there's this Mars square Jupiter, this sense of being stopped. But it's just kind of like you can tell yourself no, and you could still be, I guess, optimistic about, or at least find another opportunity to find another way to get to your goal. I just feel like this Mars square Jupiter is just kind of like there's some, not fun aspects, some also limiting. Like Mars squaring Jupiter is kind of like, popping a balloon almost in retrospect. And this just seems pretty like, and this is this is just the beginning, right? So this isn't necessarily going to be like, oh, the biggest thing on this day. I would look at this as on this time is when you're going to start feeling more not able to catch up, or feeling like you have to slow your roll. It's kind of like when if you're on a survivor situation, right? Let's say you get in a plane crash in the mountains, right? And you have like a week's worth of food. Magically, you somehow have a week's worth of food. You don't eat all of that week's worth of food in a week. You take your time, going through it. You try to make that shit last a month so you can survive. Mars squaring Jupiter is like understanding like, okay, maybe we should be limiting how much we eat so we can make this last longer. We should be finding ways to use more of what we already have rather than trying to be excessive and wasteful. I think that's actually a great way to kind of look at this. With this full moon Aquarius too, this is kind of like a way to see things through a different lens, right? This is full illumination. This is seeing the full spectrum. And Mercury opposite Saturn is also saying like, hey, there's not a lot of resources here. There's like, this is kind of like a serious matter that we have to address. Let's be realistic. And so on August 3rd, I just hate the polarity that the spiritual community will say broadly puts on it. Things are either good or bad. I don't think this is a good or a bad transit. I think this is a very serious transit. And I think that this is just a day that we're just going to have to look at a little bit more seriously in our lives. I don't think that's good or bad. I think some people will experience it good. I think others will experience it bad. But I think that's up to you to really decide and understand for yourself. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee to get through this. So next thing we got August 4th, Mercury enters Leo. So with Mercury entering Leo, that was 1 hour. I meant to move this one day. So with Mercury entering Leo, which, of course, it's not going to show when I do it. And there we go. It'll be the night of Tuesday the 4th. This is going to be pretty exciting, actually, because having Mercury, life is full of gray areas. That is for sure. So with Mercury entering Leo, we've had Mercury in Cancer for fucking ever, I feel like, which has been needed. It's got to be, you know what I mean? But Mercury in Leo, we're going to feel, this is coming from an actual Mercury in Leo placement. It's going to be really easy to feel really loud and proud about what we say. It's going to be really easy to be blinded by our words. It's going to be easy to be oblivious about how we say things. You know, Mercury's in Leo. It's about the drama of how it's said. It's about the expression, not necessarily the tangible words. It's about how it's being delivered. And as Mercury goes into Leo, I think, this is the good news out of everything that I'm really excited for, is the second shit pops into Leo. It's getting a trine from Mars, but it's an aversion to this Pisces shit, sextile in this, but it's an aversion to Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, right? Like, it's not doing anything there. So there's kind of like a nice vacation for any planet that's going through Leo. As Mercury goes into Leo, this is kind of straying away. I don't want to say less of feelings, because Cancer is just more of like the actual state of feeling. I think Leo has a lot to do with our feelings. It has a lot more to do with our passion and our heart. And I think Mercury in Leo is just going to be coming more from that area. You know, I've been preaching for the past month of like saying what needs to be said with Mercury in Leo. With Mercury in Cancer, Mercury in Leo is kind of like speaking from the heart. Like, you know, like, don't hold your truth back. Like, not necessarily saying what needs to be said, but like, say how you feel. Say what's, you know, what gives you life, almost, in a sense. And so I think this part of August makes things a little bit easier because shit's now in Leo. And I just feel like shit's a little bit easier in Leo. I think shit's a little bit easier in Leo, period. Fire signs are just like easier. The next day, August 5th, that's when we have Venus conjoining the North Node, which I don't want to say like on the fence about, but I'm really like, Venus conjoining the North Node sounds kind of crazy. Because like Venus has been in Gemini for 10 years now. And with all of the time Venus has had in Gemini, hold on, let me drink some coffee. She's had a lot of time. She's had a lot of time to figure out what the fuck's going on with her life. And Venus has also just got done squaring Neptune at this point. She's out of her shadow. Comes straight to the North Node. This is like when you're feeling really, really sure about something. Like the North Node is, you know, Rahu, the dragon's head, what we're hungry for, the direction that we're heading in. Like Venus and Gemini conjoining the North Node is like, we are hungry for this. We are ready for this. This is what I want, and I know it, and I'm going this way towards it. And it's going to be kind of overwhelming in a sense, because the one thing that I was really noticing with it is like Venus is just doing her own thing over here. She's not really, I mean, there's depending on how, far you do quincunxes or whatever, but it's a full degree, but still a quincunx to Saturn. Okay. Like, what does that even fucking mean? But with the Venus conjoining the North Node, I think that there's this heavy pull, this heavy direction wanting to be pulled, this like, wind beneath your wings, or this wind behind the sail of like, I know what I want, I'm going towards it. There's this urge, this hunger, this like, it's almost neurotic. And so part of me says this is going to be really fun. The other, like, I guess if you're into that, if you're into, the really extreme stuff, I think the other part is just this is going to be very, like, nerve-wracking, kind of anxiety-inducing. Like, if you get, oh, what's the stupid word? I say this all the time. Like, oversaturated with, overstimulated, like the music's too loud, like sensory overload is, I think, is a good way to look at it. This might be like a little sensory overload. This might just be like really like getting really whelmed into a situation. And part of me is also like, this is the North Node. This is kind of like fatalistic. So it's like, hey, there is this part of it that's like, there is this, connection. This Venus is like, I'm wanting to connect myself to this thing that stimulates me. I'm wanting to connect myself to this idea. Or, I mean, it's Venus in Gemini. She wants to socialize, and it's on the North Node. We're all going to be like, get me out of the fucking house, and I just want to party. Like, I was just thinking today, like, I don't care if tickets to the next concert are $1,000. I will pay whatever the price is to get to a fucking concert when it happens. I'm dying personally. I need it so bad. And I just feel like the Venus North Node conjunction is just going to emphasize that even more. But I also think when we talk about the Venus retrograde that we just went through, what did we learn? What did we experience? What was our takeaway? And with Venus conjoining the North Node, I think this is when we start understanding what our takeaway was, what our lessons were, and now we get to start moving forward with this new thing that we learned, or this new thing that we're into. So that looks pretty good. Next thing we've got going on, August 7th, we're going to be having Venus move into Cancer. So basically 2 days is the next thing that kind of goes on. Let me pull up the chart real quick. Venus going into Cancer with everything in Leo. So, part of me is excited about this because I personally love Venus in Cancer. Just Venus is really, like, tender there. And just, like, it's just nice. You know what I mean? It's just nice. I like that personally, but I can't speak for everyone. The good news is Venus is going to be in Cancer, where Venus is not in Gemini. That's one part of it. Venus is in a water sign, so cool, about time we have something in a fucking water sign that's not Mercury. But she will eventually oppose Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and square Mars. So it is kind of shitty. There are going to be some shitty days with Venus in Cancer, but take what you can while you can. As Venus does enter Cancer, we are talking about the planet of connection, value, indulgence, beauty, what we're in love with, and this tender sign of Cancer of, again, our needs, of intimacy, protection, enclosed. Like, I love that the crab is like the sign for Cancer, because like the crabs really just have like this shell where everything is on the inside, right? Like, that's Venus in Cancer. It's like, let's bring everything internal. Let's show a value there. Let's express a value there. Let's also beautify this area. Let's, kind of like taking like a crappy apartment and, sprucing it up a little bit. Like, I could probably use a painting, or I have a painting to put right there, but I haven't put it up. I should probably put it up. I'll probably do that. I don't know. I probably won't do that. But you guys get what I'm saying. Venus in Cancer is just kind of like, there's this mood for intimacy. There's this mood for connection, for like trust, trustful, safe, like connection, indulgence. Oh my God, my neighbors are so fucking loud. But Venus in Cancer will be fun. In the long run, it's actually going to suck. But at the first beginning couple days, it will be pretty cool. I just think Venus in Cancer, she's also going to be like at the pretty much next to the North Node here too. So there is this like really big pull towards like intimacy, connection, trustworthiness, being safe with one another, like real, water sign, ooey gooey stuff. So that's pretty exciting if you like that kind of stuff. Next up to bat, we have, what's going on? There we go. I have to like look at here. This is a big list. August 9th, Mercury square Uranus. God, I can't wait to move. My neighbors are so fucking loud. They love to just like scream all the time. I'm sorry, complaining to you guys, but it's really annoying. Yeah, Mercury square Uranus. There we go. My bad. I was like, what's going on? Why can't I change my thing over? Mercury squaring Uranus. Ugh. Mm, to be honest with you guys, this one's gonna be kind of a doozy in my opinion, because Mercury, like, if we really think about what's been going on in the past 6 months, 7 months, and we think Mercury in Leo, being loud, being boastful, being loud and proud about everything, squaring the planet of revolution and liberation, the planet in Taurus where everything's stuck and everything's just remaining the same. This sounds like, I guess, on a more mundane level, like, I don't want to say more protest, but something's gonna pop the fuck off on the 9th. On a personal level, I would also say the same, that something's gonna pop off. Not like the Mercury and Cancer thing that we had, where with it squaring Mars, it was like, oh, like just really like agitated conversation. Like Mercury squaring Uranus here is like off the cuff, pop off. This is, like Uranus is like, you know what? Fuck it. Like it's kind of, I always think of Uranus and Taurus is really like an earthquake. Just takes one little thing and then like, it just slips and it just goes. Mercury squaring it, this is going to be easy to get, I don't want to say aggressive, but loud. If you're like, this is a great day to yell. If you just need to yell, especially like, I don't want to say yell at someone, but yell with someone. If there needs to be a two-way street of yelling, maybe this is a good day to do it. But I think with Uranus and Taurus, we've already there's Uranus and Taurus on a mundane level, right? And then there's Uranus and Taurus on a personal level. And Uranus and Taurus on a personal level is so fucking weird. It's so like literally innovating, experimenting, finding liberation in these ups and downs in the way that we found, not necessarily the way that we are stable in things, what we're grounded in. And that's just a really different thing. It's just a really different thing. I feel like Uranus and Aries is so much like, oh, all of a sudden there's this identity, there's this movement, there's this, intention, there's all this dramatic, impulse stuff going on. Uranus and Taurus is very much like, crack on the ground, like, if we're going to use the earthquake example, if you look at the San Andreas Fault, it's a strike slit, a stupid fault line. And so when you look at it, it's basically like that, like it's just moved up a little bit. Everything is cake now. Oh my God, that's so funny. I'm gonna remember that. Everything is cake now. Uranus and Taurus. But with the fault line, it's a strike slip. So what you see is this little movement of like where shit was like this, now it's like this, and it's just kind of like it's those little tiny movements, those little spurts of doing this that make these big dramatic changes to where like the road doesn't meet up with the road on the other side. And I think I'm just kind of saying that just to kind of emphasize Uranus and Taurus. Like it doesn't have to be like the 2012 what's that movie? Or no, that movie was San Andreas, with The Rock or whatever, where it's like big earthquake and everything's coming down. It doesn't have to always be like that to make major change. It just has to be little like chick chick chick, and eventually you'll move a lot of space. And I think Mercury squaring Uranus there is just kind of like a little bit more pronounced, just a little bit more louder than usual. And on a personal level, I think this is just going to be, if you really just want to say fuck it and change something, say fuck it, like I'm doing this, fuck it, this is what I'm doing now, fuck it, do it. That's my opinion on that. When we move forward a little bit on August 13th, so there's kind of like a 4-day gap where nothing happens. So enjoy the 4-day gap between August 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So we get to August 13th, and then that's when we have Mars squaring Pluto, as if that's not a big deal at all. So Mars Pluto, are you guys ready for that? Do we have to talk about Mars and Pluto? Do we? I don't want to talk about Mars and Pluto. Can we just skip this? So the thing is, again, this is a long-term transit that's it's just adding up along the way. This is our first pass through of Mars squaring Pluto, and I think Mars squaring Pluto is just going to be like it's kind of like when, have you ever watched a movie? No, I don't want to say have you ever watched a movie. Duh, you guys have watched a movie. Well, actually, there's one person I know who hasn't watched a movie, but Okay, I don't think Titanic has this, but there's a movie I'm thinking of. Maybe I'll just explain it. So imagine you're a coal shoveler. I don't know, like like you run the boat, right? You run the big cruise ship boat, Titanic level boat. You're the one putting the coal in the fire engine, right? And like imagine one of the little rivets like pops out and like water comes out, and then like another one pops out, and then like another one. It's like psh, 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 psh. Like that's Mars squaring Pluto. Is like that first little rivet like comes out. It's like I don't want to say like the beginning of the end, but it's just like that's when shit starts to pop off, and it's something small like that will eventually gradually make a really big transition. Ripple effect. That's a good way to look at it, or that's a good word to use. Or domino effect. This is kind of like the beginning of the fall of the dominoes. And I think Mars squaring Pluto, you know, there's and this is also Saturn and Pluto. They're not, it's when we talk about the exact stuff is when we talk about the exact stuff, but just in the general Saturn and Pluto next to each other vicinity, we're talking about power structures, we're talking about authorities, we're talking about government entities, these big corporations. I think you're going to see a lot of shit go down starting here. I think you're going to start seeing just kind of like, you know, there's a video. Let me see if I could find it. It was literally like, I think it was about a month before, all the COVID stuff hit. But this was like this was put to me on my recommendations on YouTube. It was literally like how newsreels. Was it this? Yeah. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Can I pull this up? Can I like show you guys a video? Oh, I have to like download it. Oh, I can't do that. Can I do this actually? I'm gonna do this. Maybe I don't think I can get. Wait, let me make sure this is the right one. Oh, this is not the right one. Anyway, it was basically like a video of oh, the stocks are doing great, everything's great, and then like this was at the 2008 financial crisis. And it was like, oh, stocks are doing great. Then it was like, oh, something weird happened here, and then it was like this ripple effect of all of the stocks going down and everything that happened in 2008. I kind of feel like this is one of those days of like not necessarily, oh, the stock market's going to go down this day. I think it will, but not this day. I do think that though there's going to be some events that ripple down, and on a personal level, this is Mars in Aries. We're representing fights. We're representing conflicts. Mars is, you know, even like just like general chaos, like where Saturn is kind of like restriction and being like no. Mars is kind of like where you're dealing with more of a problematic encounter of some sort. And with it squaring Pluto, like let's say this is Mars in your 4th house, or let's say this is Pluto in your 4th house with Mars in Aries in your 7th house, right? Like you're a Libra rising. Because I know I got a lot of you Libra risings out there. This is kind of like, you know, dealing with, let's say you live at a bigger apartment complex, like that's owned by, like the company owns a bunch of them, right? This is kind of like your landlord saying, oh, we're raising rent, or we're doing something stupid that's going to piss you off and agitate you, that probably breaks your lease too, in order to change something with your apartment. Or like your landlord's like, hey, we didn't tell you, but right after you sign this lease, we have to do all this construction in your place that you didn't know about. And you're kind of like, oh boy, cool. There's just a lot of, with Mars squaring Pluto, it's just bigger shit that's kind of like, well, I don't even say they're like, to go back to that analogy, Pluto and, you know, your 4th house isn't just like, oh, we're reconstructing the place. This is like, oh, when the city zoned this place, it was only zoned for this. So the sewer lines in the ground are like super old, and so they have to like completely tear something down and go super deep in there to replace this one line, so it's like healthy for you. Yeah, dude, I know so many people with the Saturn the Saturn Pluto shit in their fourth house, just going through the craziest living situation shit. It's super wild. Oh, I meant to put that. There we go. Now that the chat box should be up here. So with Mars squaring Pluto, expect a problem. Expect a problem. I don't expect a problem that will eventually, it's kind of like I could tell you what the problem is, but I doubt I would be right, and also let the story like unfold for itself. Mars squaring Pluto just doesn't sound comfy at the end of the day. So as we move forward, we are only halfway into the month. We still have a lot of shit that's going on. I feel like I'm actually doing pretty good on time this time. So next up, Sun trine Mars. You're probably going, Cameron, why the fuck do we give a shit about Sun trining Mars? We care about the Sun trining Mars because when the Sun trines Mars, this is basically where Mars is really slowing down. Mars, because it's like Mars trines the Sun, basically goes almost motionless. Then it quincunxes the Sun right as it starts to retrograde, and then it opposes the Sun, and then quincunxes the Sun, and it's like right at the trine, or no, right at the other quincunx to the Sun is when Mars stations direct, and then that eventually leads to Mars trining the Sun again. So this is kind of like, again, the beginning of the end type energy. Also notice too that there's this sweet Mercury Cazimi action trining this Mars, which so I wrote it on my calendar that these are happening on 2 different days, but if you look, this is basically happening all on Sunday, August the 16th, because let me pull this back up. So yeah, Sun trine Mars, August 16th, August 17th, Mercury Cazimi. It's all basically happening the same day. This is really interesting because now Mars is in Aries, right? We're feeling energized. I don't want to say we're feeling energized. Our ability to do is increased. Our willpower to do is increased, I should say. Maybe we're still tired. I've just been so tired with Mars and Aries. I've been doing a lot more, but I've also just been more tired. It's also squaring Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, so it's not like Mars and Aries is free of, the ball and chain. But having Mars here in Aries at this point in the game is very much like I'm, feeling at least like I can do it. Like someone's got to do it. Like that's kind of like Mars and Aries squaring all stuff. Like someone's got to do the work. Maybe you don't want to because you're tired. Like, you come home from work and the dishes are dirty and the house is a wreck and the kids are yelling at you and nothing's fucking done, and you just got to do it because no one else is going to do it. That's kind of like the energy. Even if you're tired, who else is going to do it? Who else is going to take care of it? Mars and Aries is going to take care of it. Now with the Sun conjoining, or with Mercury conjoining the Sun in Leo, trining this is kind of like, almost like, I would say like, where you have those stories of like, if you ever watched like Shark Tank and those stories where moms are like, I was cleaning something in the house and this idea just came to me and I just whipped something together and boom, now I have this multi-million-dollar company. This is like one of those days like where you just like have something come up to you in your mind. You're like, whoa, this is actually a good idea. But the Mercury and Leo stuff, saving energy for the retrograde. You're thinking. You're using your noggin. That's smart. Save your energy for the retrograde, dude. That's what I've been trying to do. It's hard, but actually it's not hard. It's actually been really easy to be lazy. But with Mercury conjoining the Sun in Leo, there's this realization, this situational awareness of self, of and this is Leo, right? We're talking about awareness of the self. Awareness of what we're seeing. We're talking about how we're feeling confident, our pride, where we put our heart, right? How we put our heart and our intention, our energy into things, and we bring life to things. Like the Sun brings life to shit. It's I don't know. Something that kind of bothers me about traditional astrology is how negative they make the Sun, when in every situation the Sun is actually is like the sustaining life force like in the universe. Like something I learned the other day was like the Sun's spots. when the sun spots decrease, right, and the sun is less active, the sun is putting out less. It was some straight up sci-fi word, like cosmic rays, like straight, like they were like some specific cosmic ray. Basically, the sun shields us from goes down. So basically, when the sun doesn't have sunspots and it's less energy, more space shit is like affecting us here on Earth and killing us, essentially. It's really crazy. I wish I could explain it better than I just did, but I'm saying all this because I think the sun is more of a giver of life. The sun is more of a rather than a taker of life, I think is a better way to look at it. And this is the sun in Leo with Mercury conjoining the sun here. There's this authenticity to an idea. There's this authenticity to how we're communicating, how we're speaking. There's this pride. There's this courage. There's this also value. Like Mercury conjoining the sun in Leo is kind of like, if you ever watch Shrek, and the guy, I think this is actually Shrek 2 or Shrek 3, the guy delivers a note from King Farquaad to Shrek's place, and it's like all super fancy and stuff like that. Like, this is just kind of like knowing that you have a time and a place to speak up as well too. Or if you've ever been to like an AA meeting, an AA, like, if you want to talk, you can talk. Like, you just got to stand up and say it type energy. And this is kind of like when you stand up and say something. It's trining Mars in Aries too. So this is going to be, something that really gets dragged into this. Like, how do I explain this? Like the sun, like something is going to get said on a personal level. You are going to say something, something's going to get said, or an idea comes up, a realization comes up that invokes you to take action, that sparks some type of initiation, that sparks some type of action to be taken. Yes, it's squaring this Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, so you're going to run into some pitfalls, but I think this is a really important day, and I think this is the day that we'll really know what this Mars retrograde is going to be about. And this is also when we'll be able to tell, because the sun will have to go all the way to Sagittarius to start to trine Mars again. The sun will be in Sagittarius. The sun will get to Sagittarius while Mars is in Aries. So that's when we'll actually see that trine again. But this is when that will kind of finish up, right? This is just kind of like the day it begins. But this looks like an exciting day, right? Moon's about to go into Leo for another new moon in Leo, basically. But this is all trining Mars. This is exciting. This is, this is like when you can't start any project if you don't feel confident in doing it. Like if you try to draw a piece of art and all you do and tell yourself all day is that you suck at art, you're probably going to draw a shitty piece of art, and then you're going to and it's just going to affirm that you're a shitty artist. Versus when you're confident about something, you don't think about what you're doing as much. There's a natural flow. There's a natural life, like a juice to how you create. And I feel like this is just one of those days where that just really comes into play. And so that's August 16th and the 17th, kind of like both, or late in the night, early in the morning of the 17th. Can you guys believe I'm drinking coffee at 9:45 p.m.? And I took like a 3-hour nap today. But anyway, next thing we've got going on. Oh, God, I don't even like reading this list because it's just next big thing. New moon in Leo, Venus sextiling Uranus. So let's move the day. That's August 19th. Oh, boy. Wait, is that the 19th? No, it's the 18th. Whoops. Wrong button. August 18th. New moon in Leo. What did I say? Venus sextile Uranus. So let's actually move this a little bit earlier. There we go. So Venus sextiles Uranus like in the middle of the day, right before the new moon. Okay, got it. Okay. So a few things with this one. This is a new moon in Leo for one. This is like, what I kind of like about the new moon in like Leo, it reminds me of like back to school, of like, before you go to back to school, you would like try a new style, or like you'd see yourself different. And you're like, this is who I am now. Like, this is the identity, the ego I've taken on this year. This new moon in Leo is one of those times, because again, just to emphasize, and for a couple of you guys that probably weren't here when I first talked about this, This Leo season, all of this shit, it's an aversion to all of this shit. This, like, the sun, moon, and Mercury are on vacation away from the Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto stuff. This is all stuff going on at home. This is like if you were in Hawaii when COVID happened, or like New Zealand when COVID happened, and you're like, well, I guess I'm in a really chill place while this is happening. And also, I mean, all of this too is trining Mars. There's a lot of fun energy here that's not really being weighed down by Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. So this new moon in Leo sounds like a great opportunity for like a pep talk, for like, take yourself to the side. When we talk about like boxing, right? And they do the timeout and like the guy goes up to the side and gets his like face cleaned up and someone's like pepping him up. Like, this is that day. Like, we're outside of the ring. We're about to go back into the fight, but right now we're on timeout, and this is when we need to have that pep talk. This is when, you don't go into a war going, gee, I hope we win. I don't know if we will, though. Like, if any of my people out there that listen to comedy, I do not remember this comedy bit, but in Denver, they have like a comedy radio station. They always play this bit. And it's like this guy talking about how he was at like some soccer game and the people were cheering their team on, like, I believe that we will win. And it's like, and he talks about just like how like that's like the lamest, least confident thing that you could ever say for your team. And I think that's a good way to like look at this new moon in Leo. Like, you don't go like, I believe that I will win. You say that you will win. You say like, this is what, I'm gonna do. This is what I'm excited for. This is what I'm willing to take on. This is like, I can and I will win. Like, oh, what's that Braveheart, where the racist guy, Mel Gibson, where he like yells and gets everyone all excited about shit. This is kind of where that kind of happens, right? This is the time to really put on your war paint and to be like, all right, I'm the shit. I'm the boss. This is for real. I don't give a fuck, and I'm gonna just do me. Like, that's when you should say this. August 18th, like, put on your war paint. Don't give a shit about what other people say. Tell them a big fuck you, because this is kind of a good day to walk around with some balls. That's a good way to look at it. That's just with the new moon in Leo. Like, really get clear about who you are. Like, what's that one meme? It's like, what's that Tyra Banks show? America's Next Top Model, and the girl's like crying, and then she like gets all excited and like walks down the aisle. Like, that's this energy. This chart is that energy to the core. And to go back to also, because Venus is sextiling Uranus here on this day, this is where it's not funky or weird, but Uranus being that planet of unpredictability, volatility, extreme ups and downs, not sure what's going on. With Venus sextiling it with her home, there's this kind of like Venus in Cancer attitude of like, oh, I enjoy this level of intimacy and trust and connection and this safety. Oh God, safe. Venus in Cancer and safety and just like feeling safe. Sextiling Uranus, there's a new ingenuitive way of, this is kind of like, when you have, like in certain things in life, like you're like, I can get, if I didn't have a car, I can live without that. If I didn't have this, I can live without it. But it's like people are like, my coffee, I can't live without my coffee. I'm one of those people. And there's certain situations or certain habits that we hold ourselves into, like super strong, or just like can't get out of it. Venus in Cancer sextiling Uranus is like a really safe way of like showing that there's another way to do something. Like, you don't have to do everything the same way that you've always done it, because sometimes there's a better way of doing something. And I feel like Venus in Cancer like is trying to figure out and is really putting value and beauty towards like the necessity, what we need to take care of, what we need to protect and nurture. And it's sextiling Uranus. It's like, there's a new way to do that. There's a new and exciting way to take care of yourself. Like, it's when I'm trying to think of a stupid product that came out that revolutionized everything. Like the ShamWow. Like, this is kind of like the ShamWow type shit. Yeah, you need a car in Texas. But that's what I'm trying to say here with this, is just kind of like something that you've been needing, something that you've been wanting to take care of, something that's more personal you're going to find a new exciting way to take care of it, is what I'm trying to say. Which is cool. Geez, God, this is a big list. A lot going on here. Oh yeah, so that's the new moon in Leo. Basically, pep yourself up, find a new and exciting way to take care of yourself. Then we have Mercury going into Virgo, which pretty cool if you ask me. If you're wanting to say something, this is the day to say it. Well, you'll actually have like 3 weeks to say it, but let's fast forward a little bit. Boom. So here's the word bird. With Mercury going into Virgo, Mercury's going into its home sign. Now, I don't think I've actually talked about this in a while in my videos, but if you've watched my videos for a while, something I always talk about with Mercury ruling Gemini and Virgo is like, Gemini is like, I always try to like imagine like the stock market, right? Like everyone's just kind of yelling at each other and just like yelling this, yelling that, and they're just getting an idea across, right? Like they're just spouting stuff. Like Mercury, Gemini is very much like actual communication through messages, through the voice, through our like vocal tones, right? Through sharing with one another. Mercury in Virgo is like writing up it's like the terms and conditions when you buy an app, right? It's it's a 10 billion fucking words with all of the specific phrasing, so you can't sue them and they won't get in trouble and they're not liable. Mercury in Virgo is just tailoring your understanding of what is. And Mercury in Virgo is like, because everything's just words, right? And like words can be painted so, people can use this word for this meaning or this word for that meaning. People just use so many different words for so many different things. Mercury in Virgo is like tailoring that experience so it like, brings up a specific feeling or a specific reaction. And I think Mercury in Virgo is just really pinpointing, if you have an idea, write it down, because it's the same idea it's the same thing when you have an argument with someone and you think you know what you're going to say for a snappy comeback, and then you go to say it and you just sound whack. You know what I mean? Mercury in Virgo is like, if you got something in your head and it sounds great, write it down, because it's a little bit harder to write it down because you go, it makes everything makes sense in your brain. And then sometimes you say it out loud or sometimes you write it down and you go, wow, that actually makes zero sense. Like there's an episode of Seinfeld about that where he wakes up in the middle of the night and he writes down his dream for this bit and he's like, I can't even read that. I don't know what that means. Mercury going into Virgo is where it's like everything gets a little bit more physical or tangible with our ideas. I think this is a good time to write things down. This is a good time to like literally write down, what do you want? What are you thinking? Bullet point lists. Get, just be specific. And Mercury in Virgo too is, Mercury in Virgo, this is when you'll see on Twitter too, is everyone going, oh, you spelled they wrong, or you spelled, there. That's the one that everyone gets all mad at, there. You spelled there wrong, and everyone's going to yell at you for your spelling mistakes more than normal, like bet. But Mercury in Virgo is just shit is more tangible. Shit is operating better. Things are more efficient. Things are more specific. It's the same idea. It's like if you were to go to, like, this is why I like Mercury in Virgo is like, if you don't know anything about cars, right? And you go to AutoZone to take care of your car and you go, hello, sir, I need, a flux capacitor for my car. And you don't know what the fuck it is. They're going to look at you like, oh, what? And they're going to be like, well, you've got this going on with your car and this going on. You're not going you don't speak the language. Like Mercury in Virgo is like speaking the language, learning the language. If you got a problem with your car, learn the language of your car. Learn what the fuck all that shit is, so you know what the fuck's going on. If you are getting into something new, like the best thing that you can do is learn the language of whatever new, like something like I've got to do, like something I had to do for like live streaming, right? Had no fucking clue about any of this live streaming shit. But I had to learn the fucking language of what, I can't even tell you what any of the language is. I just know I can't. Sometimes you can read a language, sometimes you can speak a language, sometimes you can understand it, sometimes you can't do any of it, but you get what I'm fucking trying to say. Mercury in Virgo is just learn the language, speak the language. Things will be a lot more efficient. This is when you do speak the language. But also this is like just like a good time to write something down. If you got an idea, write it down. If you're feeling a specific way, write it down. Just be tangible. Do tangible physical things with Mercury and Virgo. Sign contracts with Mercury and Virgo. Dude, all my Virgo clients crack me up. My Virgo risings, every Virgo rising client I have, they're like, they don't even listen. They're just like straight writing down notes. And they're like, yeah, yeah, and they're like flipping through pages, going through everything. I'm like, man, gosh, like y'all even listening? Which something just to call out you Virgos. Writing something down is the same thing as like being at a concert and pulling out your phone to record the whole thing. Like, you know, like there's going to be like 10 other people on Snapchat later on that post the video. You can watch it there. Enjoy the moment. Get the full experience. Don't be, you know, there's a lot of you Virgos here. That's kind of like weird. I don't know. It's so weird. Like Virgo rising is like my number one client. Like I have more Virgo rising clients than anything else. I don't know why you guys watch me. I'm way too everywhere for Virgos, but just something to call out you Virgos again, especially too with Mercury and Virgo. It's like, organizing things in a specific way, you know. It's like something I say in a lot of my videos. It's like, you know, clean, like make your bed or just clean, you know, to get rid of that anxious energy that Virgo can have. But sometimes it's like doing that can also just be a distraction. Like Mercury and Virgo, it's like writing down all of your notes so you don't actually have to like go through the process of learning the math problem that you're having to deal with. It's the same thing of like, I don't know. I go back to the analogy. I really see a coincidence with people who write notes so thoroughly and extremely as the same people who pull out their phones at a concert. And that might be a you know, a hot take, but you know, whatever. People yell at me for fucking everything. I'm sorry for all you Virgos out there. By the way, I just want to say how much I hate Arrowhead water. It's so awful. Isn't that bad, but Arrowhead's just fucking awful. So if you see me drinking this, my mom gave me 2 bottles of water. So I'm only drinking it because my mom gave it to me. I don't believe in bottled water. But I just wanted to make that clear. Next thing. Oh man, I'm killing this time. We're just only an hour in. We're doing good. August 22nd, Sun goes into Virgo, and so it's going to be everyone in the comment section's birthday. It begins for you guys. So we get to the 19th. Oh, whoops, hold on. I went a couple days past. Oh my God, not the 19th. You dummy, the 22nd. Yeah, thanks, Mom, right? I love my mom. She's the best. So the Sun goes into Virgo. Your birthday starts. I just wanted to bring up Virgo season begins. Virgo season, I always complain about Virgo season. It's musty. It's humid. It's uncomfortable. It's when you're itchy. Like, I don't know. Virgo season, it's like so in Southern California, like summer or school always start around this time, right? And you'd start school and you're always expecting it to be cold, and it's still just like fucking hot. And if you had to walk to school here in like Southern California, I'm sure like everywhere else in the Sun Belt too, like you had to walk to school, like you are disgustingly sweaty by the time you get to school, and you're just like, ugh. And you're just like, this sucks. That's what the Sun in Virgo always reminds me of. I'm not talking shit about you Virgos. I just think as the Sun goes into Virgo season starts, you know, because it's also like the Sun in Virgo is like just being picky, being perfectionist. And there's like the good part about being a perfectionist is it's perfect. Like, doesn't get any better. But the hard part about being a perfectionist is trying to perfect things that just aren't perfect, that like are never gonna be perfect, and that you have to like accept how it is. And you know, it's everything in life is a two-way street at some point. And I think, you know, with the Sun in Virgo, there's this, you know, sense of, oh, I want things to be a certain way, so I need to make sure all of the books on my shelf are color coordinated, and I want to, you know, I have this routine with everything that I do in my life, and I do things in this systematic way. And the Sun in Virgo could also just be like, you know, kind of obsessing over that kind of stuff, or order, or, you know, there's a lot of intensity, I guess, with the little things. There's a lot of focus on it. And that's good, right? Like, it's good, but it's also just like meticulous. It's overwhelming. It's neurotic. It induces anxiety. Like it cracks me up. Like my aunt, I love my aunt to death. She's an absolute angel, but I don't even know her chart. I know she's a Virgo. But she cracks me up, man. She's got a lot of anxiety. She knows it too. She used to be like alcoholic, she's already been through it. So she fucking was like a nurse whole life. So she's like super aware of a bunch of stuff, but she's so like just such anxiety, and it's so funny because like when we have family meetups, like she does not shut up, and she's my favorite person to be at a family event because she just doesn't stop talking. She just talks and talks and talks and talks. She'll tell you all these recipes that she cooks with, and like. And like, I think I was telling about this. It was one of my weekly videos, or it was last month. But like, I've talked about this before. I don't remember where, so just bear with me because I'm not going to explain it that much more. But like, we went to the beach, and she was literally like, my cousin was flying a kite, and then she like grabbed the string from my cousin and like helped him fly the kite. And he's like 16 or 17. Like, he doesn't fucking want his aunt or his grandma like fucking holding on to the kite. But that's just what she did. And so, like, with the sun in Virgo, like, there's this, like, specificity. Like, my aunt, she always got, like, this plan. She's always got this, order, this order of operations. But sometimes the neurotic, like, things having to be a certain order in a certain way can just be, like, overwhelming for a lot of people. And it can just be, like, too much for both ends. So, with the sun going into Virgo, have fun, loosen up. If things aren't perfect, things aren't perfect. And that's going to be a big lesson, because in case you guys aren't paying attention to like this fucking bullshit, like things aren't going to be perfect. This does not scream perfect. Hold on, I'm reading the comments again. Ignoring our flaws is just the sacrifice we have to make to help others. That one's funny. All right. For real though. That's just the sun in Virgo. Fuck the sun in Virgo. Oh, I didn't change any of the fucking days. Okay, so this all says 7, but we're going to pretend that all of this says... I can't believe I just noticed this. God, I fucking suck so much at making graphics. They're always so bad. So, pretend this is August 24th, all right? Is that correct, too? Is that the correct... Did I not... Mars square Saturn on August 24th? Yes. Okay, that is correct. So this is all correct information, just the wrong days. So bear with me here. We get to August 24th. What do we got going on? We have Mars squaring Saturn, Mercury trining Uranus. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for Mars squaring Saturn. It can't be perfect. Yeah, exactly. I'm over here going like, it sucks, but you're right. It can't be perfect. Mars squares Saturn on August 24th. This is a Monday, too. We start the week with this. This is kind of... It's the same idea. If you're driving down the freeway and you got cherries and berries in your window, which that means a cop's pulling you over, you can sit there and go, like, why am I getting pulled over, right? Like, what did I do? But you gotta pull over. What are you gonna do? Pull an OJ and just go? And just run? To where? They're eventually gonna get you. The reason I bring this up with like Mars squaring Saturn is like, you gotta stop. There's something that you just gotta stop. You've got to pump the brakes. That's why I'm using the cop reference of like, especially because Mars in Aries is like, it's like you want to go on a road trip. You want to go to wherever you're going. But Saturn is in the superior position here, squaring Mars. So it's like literally like a cop's pulling you over type shit. And you can't run. You can't just like fucking go. You got to pull over. You got to stop. And it's not going to take that long. But also, I think with this Mars retrograde, it's like, don't have an illegal substance in the car because maybe he'll find it and then like you got to go to jail or something. But with Mars in Aries, just wanting to go, wanting to do, squaring Saturn, it's like there's a huge stop. There's a huge urge. There's a wall, right? And we can ignore that wall. I don't want to say ignore that wall. There's a sign that says, hey, flooding ahead. Slow down a little bit. And you can go, fuck that sign. And just keep going. Just keep driving. But that sign is probably going to be right. This is going to be a day where you want to listen to the signs. Something saying, hey, maybe slow down a little bit. Maybe stop. Maybe, or, if it's, or going back to, just like last month, how I was making a lot of analogies with like your car breaking down. Instead of trying to like fight your car and being like, if your car is overheating, don't just keep driving. Like, or if your car's beeping the check engine light at you, or the oil light's yelling at you, don't just keep driving. Like, pull over. Like, stop the car. Your car is telling you to stop, so fucking stop. It's just with the sun in Virgo, we're gonna be like, oh, I know it all. I know everything. Can't tell me I'm wrong. And Mars and Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, Mars. There's all of this. It's kind of like I love the character trope that like you'll see on like TV shows where they play like the regular American dad and the American mom, and like the American like dad will just like do something and just like, even if he's like failing at it, he just continues to aggressively do it and just makes it worse. Like that's this, right? Like this is kind of like, I'll pull the chart again. If any of you here have ever mowed a lawn on a hot summer day, and that lawnmower, you pull it about 5 times. The 5 times is where you start going, when just your inner animal rage. It's like literal primal ancestral rage from thousands of years just comes out when you can't start a lawnmower and it's hot outside. I don't know what it is. It's just so, I can't explain it. You just have to go through it. But this is kind of like a day where if the lawnmower's not starting, quit trying to like stop pulling the lever 1,000 times if it's not going to work. Maybe put some oil in it. Maybe, you flooded it and you need to drain it out a little bit. Like give it some time to rest. Like stop pulling on ancestral mowing rage. Yeah. Like it's, I don't know how else to describe this, but there's anger here that's telling you to stop. Like when you're trying, like this is the best analogy I can use. And if you guys know, if not, like go and try, go to your neighbor's house and be like, let me try mowing your lawn, and just like try to start that lawnmower and see how fun it is. But this sun in Virgo, the reason I'm using this analogy is kind of like when you're doing that, especially as a guy too, there's this like you feel like you have to conquer the machine, right? You're like, oh, I can do this. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing. The sun in Virgo is like, I know what I'm doing, right? Like I'm confident in what I'm doing, but it's just like not working. So there's this rage, right? And just like things aren't, connecting. So I think with Mars squaring Saturn, just stop. There's no need to get upset that you can't mow the lawn the way that you want to at the moment. It's going to be there again. If something's making you mad, drop it. Go do something that doesn't make you mad. Have fun with that for a little while and then come back, because then you have time to reflect on it. Then you have time to really think about stuff. And, yeah, I think, well, the one thing I want to say is that there's a weird set of sequence with this, right? We have this Mars squaring Saturn, which is basically telling you to stop. We have Mercury trining Uranus too, which is kind of telling you, like, if you're overthinking it, you're going to go down really quick. But if you give yourself an outside perspective, there's a lot that you can learn. There's almost this ingenious, like, understanding. It's kind of like, you're pulling at this lawnmower so much, you finally take a breath and stop, and then you realize, oh, I had the choke off the whole time. Duh. Like, maybe that's why it wasn't starting. Or I had the gas turned off the whole time, not the gas turned on, and that's why it wasn't starting. It's like, oh, duh. Like, I didn't think that was going on. That's kind of like one of these days is like, if you're just in the heat of the anger and shit, you're going to realize you're doing shit wrong. And I think another good way to look at it too is if we pull this chart back up, technically, so it's really going to be more specific here on August 25th. Same thing with like Mercury trining Uranus. Like it's all kind of in a gray area between days. But we're also going to be having Venus opposite Jupiter, which is really good. This is probably the most beneficial transit here. And Venus opposite Jupiter is just taking care of your shit. Taking care of what's important, what you have. Like, so I've been getting really into minimalism lately, like really into minimalism and like doing everything on my own and making all my own shit. And just like natural stuff too. And like Venus in Cancer opposite Jupiter is like, you know, you don't need like 1,000. I'm just trying to think of, I can't think of a good analogy. Oh no, I can't think of an analogy. Basically, you don't need a bunch of something. You just need one version of it, and you just take really good care of it. Like, that's kind of Venus in Cancer, Jupiter in Capricorn. Like, you don't have, you know, everything under the fucking sun, you know, but you do have one of something that works for you and you take really good care of it. It's like, well, it's kind of like, you know, a Toyota Camry. Like, you ever seen like people with Toyotas from like the 90s or the 80s that are like in mint condition, and they just take such good care of them, and they last for like 500,000 miles. Like, they drive them longer than people are fucking alive. And like Venus in Cancer opposite Jupiter in Capricorn is like, what you have isn't amazing. It's not a fucking Ferrari. It's not a Mercedes. It's a Toyota Camry. It's just good on gas mileage and it's safe. But Venus in Cancer opposite Jupiter is like, what are you taking care of? What do you value? What needs to be protected? Jupiter in Capricorn is like, you know, you don't have a lot of something, so enjoy it while it lasts. It's kind of like, you know, in your 20s, even though that sounds weird because I'm still in my 20s. I've had a lot of experiences before. Like, when you live on your own, like, I remember the first like couple years I lived in Vegas and I had to deal with the holidays on my own. It was really emotional about it because like it was like just the first time away from my family, I guess. But I was able to eat with people, right? Like, I had a family to stay with for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff like that. And with that, it was kind of like, you know, I ate like shit because I was living in Vegas, you know, working shitty jobs, didn't really take care of myself. But I, you know, during, you know, Thanksgiving, December, I stayed with like a family where they would like invite me over, and I'd have, this is the 25th that I'm still talking about. But they invite me over and I have like one nice meal, and that nice meal just goes like, wow, like I didn't get a lot of nice meals often, so I really enjoyed what I had then. And so that's kind of like this Venus opposite Jupiter today is like, if you don't get something often a lot, or you don't get a big bounty of it, enjoy what you do have while you have it. And I think this Venus opposite Jupiter is like just a lot of gratitude. Even if it's not a lot. There's a lot of understanding too with this. This is taking care of what you have. This is making what you have work. This is enjoying having less, I think. Not necessarily enjoying having less, like, you know, enjoying being in poverty. No one enjoys that. But like, you know, sometimes it's nice to just, it's, you know, why it's like why you hear like rich people or, you know, other people, like they're like, I lived in this big house and then, you know, I became a minimalist and I enjoy everything I own more, and I you know, it's sent. Oh, thank you, God, Drew, you just come in right at the perfect time. I love you. It's like it's sentimental. That's a great way to put it. It means more. There is more significance to it, but I think with just the Jupiter and Capricorn, it's not a, you know, it's not like a huge extravagant thing. It's Jupiter and Capricorn. It's like, you know, like, have you ever seen Up? If you guys haven't seen Up, how dare you? But in Up, you know, where she gives the little grape soda pin, like it's like literally like fucking trash, but it's has all of this meaning and significance. Like, that's how I would kind of look at it. So like, if you have like a grape soda pin to give to someone, you should give it to them on August 25th. That would be a great day for that. Also, you have the moon too in Sag, which makes things fun. But shit, let me bring it back to the list. Also, if you're new here, I know the list is wrong. Don't judge me. I just talked about how things aren't perfect. But yeah, that's Mars squaring Saturn, Mercury trine Uranus, Venus opposite Jupiter. But then we get to the next day and we have Venus trining Neptune, which gets kind of cool. It's kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh, it's a like again, like it's a sweet nostalgia, right? It's a sweet flavor of tender, juicy, loving sweetness of Venus in Cancer, like idealizing, a certain token of gratitude. Venus trining Neptune, there's this, someone can see, some like it, like I don't want to say the sentimental thing. It's kind of different than that. It's like seeing something as way cooler than it is to like you, right? Like something that you're normalized with. You're like, oh yeah, this is normal, versus someone who's never experienced it before. They're like, whoa, this is super crazy. I've never seen this before. This is, something magical. I really care about this. Like that's kind of like Venus trining Neptune. There's also this like sense of like distorting in a good way how we kind of see things. Certain distortions are cool. Like when you watch a movie, like my favorite movies have like the scary scene where like the character realizes something, they're like, and then like the lens focal length changes, so like the background gets really wide and it's more blurry and it zooms in on them and they become like a little bit more distorted. That's kind of like, I always think of that when I think of Neptune. But having like Venus in Cancer, where we're talking about like just really enjoying the intimate, the, again, sentimental, the things that are just, more intimate, more sacred, trining Neptune, like it puts this romantic sense to it. It's a very romantic time, in my opinion. Like just Venus trining Neptune. If you have a relationship during this time, lucky you. This will be a great time to make sweet love and to talk about your feelings and to feel safe talking about them, and to just trust your partner and to maybe melt in their arms. But if you aren't single like everyone else, if you are single, maybe you're talking to someone, this would be a great time to, I think, get intimate with someone. Or just, you don't have to be intimate even with a partner. You can be intimate with your friends, your family, tell them how much they fucking matter to you. Tell them, shit, I don't know. Insignificant things really matter once they're gone. Like once you know that they're not going to do anything again. Don't tell me what to fucking do, Drew. Next thing, because let's get over Venus trine Neptune. Mercury trines Jupiter, which, cool. Yes, I think we like that. Looking at it here, I think what's just kind of weird and funky though is Venus is like opposite Pluto, and like the moon's also on Jupiter, so it's kind of like Mercury in Virgo is kind of like, here's a good way to look at it. This is like all of these people in Capricorn are like all of these business CEO heads trying to figure out a way to save a buck, right? And then Mercury in Virgo comes in saying, I just found this law that says that we don't have to use environmentally friendly, sustainable products on the things that we use, and it'll save us, $2 million a year. And the Capricorn pilot's like, fuck it. And then Mercury in Virgo's like, just so you know, it's really environmentally bad. All of these people over here are just like, fuck it, we're going to do it anyway. Not to make this like negative. I don't think this is necessarily negative. I think the more appropriate analogy is what are we trying to build off of? What is there, I think a good way to look at this is like bankruptcy. I don't know if you guys know how bankruptcy works, but bankruptcy is basically when a company has to, they basically say, all right, we're broke. They restructure their debts, which basically is a fancy word for selling some of their properties, their assets that they have to pay off certain debts, and that goes under certain companies. And if they can make it work, that business can survive. If they can't sell enough debt to like get them out of like the hole, then they have to sell off everything and they literally have to close. This is kind of like one of those days where I guess in the process of bankruptcy, being able to like understand, like I talk about this, I guess, in the sense of like, in bankruptcy, there's a transition of like power. There's a transition of like, okay, we're not going from a growing company to like, we need to start contracting. We need to start restricting. We need to consolidate our debt, consolidate our assets. And Mercury in Virgo is just doing all of the little work for it, right? So to go back to what we've been talking about since December, since January, with Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and all this shit here in Capricorn. What's changing? The foundation that you rely on, the system and the order that you've built things on. What's changing? Everything's retrograde, right? This is when, the blueprints have already been filed, they've already been printed. The construction's already happening, right? Mercury trining this, though, is like starting to see the idea, starting to see the picture, starting to understand, like, hey, what is this growing into? Are you starting to actually see the plans from the paper actually turn into life? And through this too, there's, it's the same idea when you start building something. Like if you ever do your own car mechanic work and you go to the University of YouTube to learn how to do it. At first you go, I don't know what I'm doing, but then you start working on it. You go, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Now I know how the fuck this part works in my car. Now I know how to do it to my car. Like, as you build, as the process happens, you're going to get more insight. You're going to understand it better. And that's kind of like this Mercury in Virgo at this point, trining this. And there's also this helpful Mercury in Virgo, being clear about our words, about our ideas, about our thoughts. There's this, clarity. Like I said before, at this point, we're already speaking the language. The language isn't foreign to us anymore. We're speaking the language. Now, if you watched Wolf of Wall Street and Leonardo DiCaprio's first day at whatever fucking bank he's at, he's like a pussy and he's like, I don't know what's going on. And then like by the end of the day, he's like yelling at everybody, right? Like that's Mercury and Virgo trining this. And there's a support to the system. There's a, it's good is the best way I'm trying to say it. It's exciting. It's a, newer understanding. Then we have Venus opposite Pluto the next day, which again, I think with Venus opposite Pluto, it's like one of those things I feel like is more personal. I think you'll see it like mundane, but not, I think you'll feel it more personally. And like Venus opposite Pluto, like Venus in Cancer is like, I'm trying to think of there's this apocalypse movie. I think it was what's that Christian movie series where they talk about the end of the world? Left Behind. I think it's Left Behind where they do this, where it's like the end of the world's happening and then like the whole family just like meets up and they're like on the living room and they just like hug each other and then like the world ends. And like that's what they did in like the last moments. Like Venus in Cancer opposite Pluto is like hug the family as we all enjoy, as we are all smited by God. Like to bring that to shift that into another picture, it's kind of like, really valuing, really understanding, what's needed, what's precious, what's, what needs to be taken care of, what needs to be felt, what needs to be shared and related in times of uncertainty, in times of scary shit. Venus, I think Venus getting a lot of denial, yes, but I think this is kind of less Venus getting denial, more of Venus bringing up the elephant in a room that hasn't been brought up yet. And I think that can lead to like, not everyone wants to talk about their feelings, their problems at first. But I think that there's this sense of like, oh, this is actually really important and sentimental. This is meaningful in my life. And with Venus opposite Saturn, Pluto, there's this, like, I don't know. I feel like it would be easier to make apocalypse like analogies if there wasn't what seems to be the end of the world going on at the moment. I wouldn't say like a revelation. No, I wouldn't say like a revelation. I would say like a moment of peace of like, this is, it's kind of like if you're mad at someone, like think back in 2012, the day that we were supposed to all die, right? Did you do anything before? Did you like tell a friend like, hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I actually really care. I don't want to end on bad terms, because that's kind of like Venus opposite Pluto here. Like maybe reaching out to someone like, I don't want to end on bad terms that the world's going to end. I love you. And it's just kind of like just letting go of that like anger and hate. Not to say everyone's going to let go of their anger and hate. That's not what I'm saying in this. But like that movie with Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. Who the fuck is Keira Knightley? That sounds really familiar. I don't know my movie stars enough. Describe more to me. But Venus opposite Pluto is just, when shit's dark, you just gotta care. Shit's just different. I don't know. That's also, I don't know. That could also just be an American value, and maybe not all of that's for every culture. Pirates of the Caribbean lady, Keira Knightley, Steve Carell. What fucking movie did they play in together? What movie is that? I don't know. I don't know a movie with both of them in it. Hold on, I'm really interested to know what movie this is. I've heard of that movie, but I haven't seen it yet. But I'm assuming it would be like a thing. Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. This does not sound like a combo. But yeah, this is just kind of like, or like, have you ever seen Cloud Atlas? Cloud Atlas is also, I think, a good example, because Cloud Atlas just like fucking pulls out every trick in the book and is like, oh, there's so many ways to look at this. But this is kind of like the moment in Cloud Atlas where like Tom Hanks dies and you're like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? But we got to move on. Care in a Crisis. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's intense. It's a little brutal. It's emotional, right? Like there's no denying it. It's kind of like when you see, if you get a phone call that a loved one that you know got in a car accident and they're at the hospital and you go and see them, even if you were mad at them before, there's like all of that shit goes to the side when shit's important, shit cares. Like I feel like that's Venus here in Cancer opposite Pluto. It's like, all that shit kind of goes to the wayside in that kind of moment. But then we end the month, August 30th. We're already at the end of August with Mercury opposite Neptune. With Mercury opposite Neptune, I was thinking about this, and this sounds so, like, at this point in Neptune and Pisces, like, it's just, you get to the point, like, if you guys have ever done acid, when you do acid, it's a commitment. Like, you're not just, like, getting high. Like, you are committing to having a distorted view of reality for a while. And, like, Mercury opposite Neptune is, like, when you peak, but then, like, you get it. Like, because there's always, like, this point of an acid trip where you're just, like, you get it. And you're like, okay, now I'm starting to see. Now I'm starting to connect. You feel, like, more fluid in it. And for all my non-drug users out there, Mercury opposite Neptune would, I think, also be another way to look at it, is kind of, like, understanding when you're having propaganda thrown at you. And you're able to see through it, when you're able to see through someone's lies, when you're able to see through when you see the magician's trick, when you see the fucking card up the sleeve, when you see the thing that's going to happen. It's like Mercury and Virgo. And here's the thing. It's cool in the sense where you don't feel like you're being played. It's cool to know how things work. But I think there's also this essence of taking the magic out of it. Like with Mercury opposite Neptune, it's like, like let's say if you hire, like, let's say you're a stereotypical American couple and your wife orders your kid a magician for their birthday. And you're an incel guy who likes to ruin everyone's fun. And you're like, it's like, don't ruin, like, and you like want to say like, oh, the magician, like you see its tricks or it's not doing that good or they're not doing that good. Like you don't ruin the fun for the kids if the kids are having fun just because it's like bullshit or whatever, right? Like you don't want to ruin the magic for them, even though it's like just fake. And I feel with Mercury opposite Neptune, it's important to know what you're seeing. It's important to like see it, but I think it's just also important to understand what you're seeing versus what everyone else is seeing. Just because a movie is stupid to you doesn't mean it's stupid to everyone else. Just because a joke's, funny to you doesn't mean it's funny to everyone else. And, this is just with Mercury opposite Neptune, it's going to be kind of easy to get kind of caught in the crosshairs because there's shit, I feel like everyone, and this is shit everyone goes through. I know I'm really guilty of this all the time. Is like, I'll say something that I didn't know came off a certain way that it did, or that I was oblivious to, like, I'll say something thinking it was just normal, and someone's like, oh, I actually took that, that meant something different to me. And, with Mercury opposite Neptune, you're not always going to know what you're saying. You're not always going to know the answers, right? And Mercury and Virgo really wants to, I don't want to say there isn't really a Santa Claus, but, you know, it's like the conversation about God. Is there a God? Is there not a God? Who knows? But it's not our job to ruin everyone's fun, you know, like, and ruin everyone else's spirituality. Like, let them believe what they're gonna believe. And the thing is, we're all really opinionated people. We all go through this type of shit, right? I'm really bad at that. I'm super bad at it, right? I gotta catch myself all the time. It's something I still struggle with. And with Mercury opposite Neptune, it's just, are you seeing it clearly, right? Sure, you can be like, oh, there is no proof of God. There's no proof of astrology, right? There is no, you know, this doesn't make sense. It goes against my logic. How can it be true? That doesn't mean you need to fucking satirizing problems, right? That doesn't mean you got to go out of your way and tell people what the fuck, you know. I like how you guys are both, that's the satirizing. I think that's my sun and Leo in the 9th house. Very preachy. But that doesn't mean you have to like go and ruin the fun for people, right? Those, and also I think with Mercury opposite Neptune, there is no answer for everything. You know, the Neptune and Pisces, I feel like we're kind of at this day and age where we're just like really questioning a lot of stuff. Everything's confusing, everything's kind of wild, and Mercury and Virgo, you know, just wants to understand and just wants to know, and we're not always going to kind of get that. We just entered the sun's hour. Speaking of the sun, but you know, I think on a personal level too, there's two sides to this, because there's the side of like, you know, I don't want this. The good side to this that I want to say is this is a good time to paint a painting or to write a song where you understand the chord structure, you understand how to compose a song, you understand how, like, the layers to drawing, you understand the specifics of what your art is. Mercury opposite Neptune is like intertwining the specifics, like the knowledge that you have over your art and the magic of producing the art. It's that synchronicity between the two. The only bad thing is also just like, don't get caught up in shit that like doesn't matter. You know, don't get caught up in a facade. Don't get caught up in an illusion. Don't get caught up in shit that's wrong. Yeah, I feel you. Neptune's been squaring my Venus for a while. I don't know what I want. But Mercury opposite Neptune, you know, man, there's a lot of noises tonight. Mercury opposite Neptune, just, I don't want to say see through the bullshit, but like, don't see through the bullshit, don't ruin other people's fun, but do something with it, right? Like, I don't know. I can't really express that more clear than I kind of did. And it's a Neptune transit. It's not really going to be clear. It's not really going to be black and white either. So I think it's time. I need birth times, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about what's going on for all you specific placements here. I got to also make sure I can remember everything that's going on. Give me some birth times. We'll go over a couple signs. Don't just say me, put your birth time in there. I'm not going to be able, I don't know if, there's 18 of you. If you guys all put in your birth shit, I don't know if I could get to all of it. I'll try to get to the majority of them, but just put in your birth info. I'll pull up your chart. I get to roast you. You know, basically I get to say whatever I want if you're giving me your birth time. But shadow just moved in my kitchen. That's creepy. But basically we're just going to go over a couple charts. Now they're all ding, 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 ding. Hold on. I might ask for them again too. Fire, 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 wow. Fire, 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 wow. Let's do you. So basically we'll just do a couple signs to talk about what it's going over for the specifics of all the signs here. December 4th, 1954. Boomer. What are you doing up this late? Fort Worth, Texas. All right, what sign are you? Oh, Leo rising. Oh boy. Look at this chart. Oh, I don't even have that. So this is our chart for fire, fire, fire. Wow. Leo rising. Let's do this. go. Let's see what's going on for you in August. Let's just do it like this. We'll put it at this date. Wow. So for you Leo risings, yeah, Mars is going to be in the 9th. I thought this is like the one thing that I was kind of thinking for like Mars transiting like you Leo rising 9th house. It's like shaking your fist at God. Like, oh my God, like, why are you doing this to me? And it's also, I mean, like Saturn, it's squaring all of this shit in your 6th house, like Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter. So it's like being overworked, being too busy with work, working too much. There goes the helicopter. With Leo rising too, what else is going on in fucking August? I mean, you're gonna have the sun and everything in Leo in your 1st house, so you're gonna feel more confident about yourself. But there's kind of some confidence when you're really good at what you're doing. When you're doing a lot of work, you end up getting confident about yourself because you're literally proving to yourself that you can do something. Right? You're stacking up wins. You're showing yourself that you're capable of doing something. So you're just gonna feel more confident. I feel like this is just gonna be for just more specifically Leo risings in general. More confidence, more bravado. Wow, another pass of the helicopter. I mean, for you specifically, it is going to be squaring your Saturn Venus stuff in Scorpio, so that might be like a little edgy, might get a little bit frustrated. But for you more specifically, like, I mean, shit, Venus is going to be in your 12th house for you Leo rising, so that's TLC by yourself, you know, going on a retreat by yourself, taking care of yourself, by like sneaking out for a spa day basically, but because you're just really fucking busy at work and you fucking need it. You're angry and shaking your fist at God, but we're walking around with this confidence. That's the way I'd kind of look at Leo risings. All right, hold on, let me read your comments real quick and I'll go back. I changed out the shaft seal in my pool pump today. That's funny. Hold on, gotta go back to everyone's charts. Miley for really. Oh, I've literally read your @ name as Millie for really. And I think so. I don't know. I'm just gonna pronounce it as Millie for really because it just sounds too good. 02 February. 09 89 1989. Fuck. Come on, Cameron. 8:47 p.m. Millie for really. What? I need to know where you were born, fool. Millie for really. Where were you born? Emily, where were you born? Quick. I don't know where you were born. I need to know where. Quick. We're all waiting on you. There's 18 people all waiting for you. If not, we're going to go to someone else. Albany. There we go. Albany, Georgia. All right, what's going on with you? Who are you? A Pisces rising. Okay. Oh, boy. Oh, gosh. Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck. Man, you got a fucking ton of shit going on. Look at your chart. All right, so let's break down the sun. We'll just go from the sun, moon. We'll just go from the sun out. So the sun's in your 6th house. Sun's in your 6th house. Mercury's in your 6th house. You know, there's some essence and a big kind of focus on your work, your service to the world, what you're kind of producing, your habits, you know, your health. But Venus is going to be in Cancer in your 5th house, where I think this takes more like Pisces risings, like in Leo. It's just kind of like Leo's just background noise. Like the Venus in Cancer in your 5th house of like, oh, you know, this is what I'm wanting to take. This is what I'm wanting to do. This is what I'm wanting to produce. This is what I'm wanting to create. This is what I'm literally wanting to involve myself with. This is what matters to me. This is what takes care of. This is what's fun for me too. Like Venus going through your 5th house, there's a lot of fun and trying to focus like what fun do you need in your life? What creativity? What like also like 5th house is going to be like sex, love, romance. Where do you need some spark and some action? Where do you need to feel that intimacy and that trust? And also this is opposing, I mean, you have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto all up in this bitch anyway. But on your natal chart, you've got Mercury and Neptune and Saturn and Uranus here. So there's this level of like, do you need more intimacy with your friendships or with your community that you're with? Are you seeking more connection with your community, with your friends? Are you wanting to be more intimate with them? And how do you be more intimate with them? Mars is in your second house. I've been telling every Pisces rising this is like, don't spend money on your friends. Don't borrow money. Don't be lending money. It's going to be easy to drain your cash with this. And you're also a day chart too. So just be careful with spending money. But with Mercury going into Leo and then going into your seventh house, and then we've got the sun and shit going into your seventh house. Like, it's going to be trining your Jupiter, your Mars, all of this shit. Yeah, this looks like just a bigger emphasis on relationships, but you're also having Saturn on your Mercury right now. So there's this bigger commitment with relationships for you, and it's very serious about who you're engaged with on a community level, on a friendship level. Like, there's a lot of commitment, and like, this is like signing a contract to like be like a leader of like some type of community-led effort or something like that. Like, there's just a lot of serious focus on individual relationships, but through some type of community or through some type of friendship network. And there's Saturn themes to that. So like commitment, you know what I mean? Leadership, authority, discipline. And you've got Saturn in Capricorn here, which I'm sure, you already know what the fuck's you're already going through. Let's switch to our next contestant here on what is Cam going to tell you about your life. Zika 2000, you're next. 124.89 and 4:42 a.m. in Portland. Please stay safe there in Portland. Don't get kidnapped. Oregon. All right. Sag Rising. Sag Rising gang. Living with the ex who's just a friend, but I'm trying to find. Yeah. That Mercury Sun stuff is like, you got to be serious about the relationship stuff in your life, Emily. But Zika 2000, Sag Rising gang. Okay, so let's be real about this. That's not yours? You said January. Oh, who? Whose chart am I pulling up then? Oh, I totally read the wrong chart. My bad. This is Mary Loves Owls. Mary Loves Owls. Since your chart's here, let me do yours and then Zika 2000. We're just gonna pretend this is. I'll get back to you. All right. So Mary Loves Owls. Let's do you first, and then I'll do Zika. So all right, Sag Rising gang. There's a couple things with this. You're gonna have the Sun and Mercury in your ninth house, so there is this bigger focus and attention on your spirituality, your belief systems, getting involved in all that stuff, higher education. I'd say far distance travel, but you're probably not going anywhere. This is just getting more in tune and tapped with like your spiritual side, your religious side. If you're trying to do any studying, it's going to be an aversion to all of your earth stuff because you're just like ridiculously earthy. So this is kind of like warming up the embers. Like when you have a campfire in the morning, like waking up to the campfire in the morning, it's like, real hot and just like, it's not just a big ball of flames, like this warm heat. Don't know how else to explain it. But when the sun goes into Virgo with Mercury and having this on top of your moon and your south node, there's a bigger focus with like career topics being put into place where you're, doing more mercurial work and everything, relationships in your career space, what you're doing with your career. But the other thing though is during this time is Venus will be in your 8th house of Cancer, opposing your Venus, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune shit in your 2nd house of money. So basically all of the 8th house stuff that you've been dealing with, so like debt, insurance, inheritance, death, stuff like that, Venus is going to be kind of like making you kind of go back and focus on that stuff and taking care of what needs to get taken care of. And that's going to be also highlighting the moon. And I think as the sun goes over your 8th house ruler and Mercury goes over your 8th house ruler, there's going to be an illumination and a bigger understanding of what needs to be taken care of when it comes to your 8th house, like your debts or, what type of shit that you need to take care of, what type of things that you need to address. That can be really scary. Like, this is the 8th house. Like, this is we don't want to talk about this stuff. This is the emotional, personal stuff that we're afraid to talk about. But there needs to be some emphasis here on what needs to be done, right? I mean, Mars is in your 5th house. So and it's again an aversion to fucking everything. It's going to be squaring, it's squaring Uranus, all of this type of stuff too. So this is also, money being spent. Where are you spending too much money on your home, on your living situation, on things that you enjoy? Are you needing more money for your living situation or to pursue the things that you enjoy? But your obligations and, what you're committed to is kind of getting in the way of that. Maybe Venus in Cancer going through your 8th house is going to be the opportunity to just maybe take care of some debts or loose ends. Work's going to probably get a lot busier for you. For estate planning. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you are going to be busy. That you have such an important job. You're probably Venus, your midheaven ruler is literally going to be in your 8th house of death. Like, I guarantee you're going to be working a lot. But yeah, this just kind of sounds like more of a busy month, and you're not going to be able to spend the money. Well, you're a night chart too. So, I don't know. This might be like putting too much energy in your creativity in your house that ends up limiting what you like your money. Maybe you're trying to do too many crafty projects at home to where that kind of like hurts your bank account a little bit. Maybe you need to take care of some debts first. That's the way I would kind of look at this. But let's go back to Zika. Zika. Wait a minute. Zika, I did yours last time too. Didn't I? I didn't save it, I don't think. New chart. If you show up next month, I'm going to be like, hey. I'm just kidding. You can do it every month. I don't care. San Pedro Sula. San Pedro Sula of Honduras. Whoops, did not mean to spell that with a J. Honduras. That's actually... Oh. Fuck. Not Honduras, Oregon. San... Oh, God, I'm such a fucking dumbass sometimes. Pedro Sula, Honduras, at 10 p.m. All right, what are you? Pisces rising. We already did Pisces rising. Pisces rising, yeah, again, 5th house stuff. Yeah, we already did the Pisces rising. God, you've got the Mars Saturn. That Mars Saturn shit was rough. Yeah, you've got Saturn opposing your Venus and your Sun, and Mars in your 2nd house. I'd say the same thing as the other person, but you just need to be more serious about what you're committing to, and also you're probably just feeling very lonely, and that's okay. It's not going to be forever. All right, if you're not a Pisces rising, I'm trying to do each sign or as many of the signs that I can. So it's me, Rachel. You're next. It's me, Rachel. September 4th. God, what is with the Virgo party up in this bitch? What are you guys all doing up this late? Anyway, 85, 7:48 p.m. Oh, fuck. 7:48 p.m. Where are you born? Oh, it's me, Rachel. Where are you born? Y'all have to put where you were born. Baltimore. Y'all be like just giving me times and shit. You're like, here's the time and the day. Figure out where I was born. Baltimore, Maryland. I have to pick apart your imperfections. No one else is going to do it. Man, I'm with the Pisces risings too. Guys, calm down. Jesus. Give me a different rising sign. I got other people to watch that are going to watch this shit. The fucking Pisces risings. Yeah, you've got your Mercury Mars conjunction too. Jesus. That's going to get, I think, Rachel, we talked about this too, because I've done a reading for you. If not, if I didn't do reading, we did it. I did a reading for you. So I'm like, I know this chart. This is you're going to have the sun over this. Like, do not be, like, you're going to be so loud and proud. This is intense right here. This is real intense right here. Loud and proud, which isn't bad. It's just loud and proud. And you're also a night chart. So this is decent and more constructive for the most part. Saturn in your ninth house, that's probably causing some issues too. Same thing again. Venus going through your fifth house. What do you want? What are you trying to create? And who are you trying to give that to? There's going to be some highlighting here with your seventh house ruler, and when the sun goes into your seventh house of relationships, and that's in your sixth house. It has to do with really relationships and working. What is your relationship with either coworkers or other employers or colleagues, stuff like that. That's really just going to be kind of brought up and out and alive. But I need a different chart that's not Pisces rising. If you're a Pisces rising, I'm just going to skip you. June. All right. Mariana Lualu. I don't know how to say it. Mariana Lulu. That's a fun name. June 16th. 1994. Puebla, Mexico. Oh, shit. Whoops. June 16th, 1994. 10:45. 10:45 what? I'm assuming AM. Mariana Luilu. Can you confirm that is 10:45 AM? I do need a Virgo rising, but hold on. I'm still reading everybody's thing. I'm up here in the comments. I'm not even reading the other comments. 10:45 a.m. Mexico. And this is in Puebla. Mexico. All right, you're a Leo rising, you said? Well, let's check it out anyway. Hey, what's up? Why aren't you famous, dude? You got Leo rising on... Why aren't you famous? Why aren't you famous yet? You should be famous. What are you doing with your life? Why aren't you famous? You've got that ascendant on Regulus, and don't let that go to waste. That's what Drake has. And you've got your sun at 25 Gemini. Oh, yeah, you've got it. Wow, your chart's wild. Your chart's got a lot going on. Specifically for you, Venus is going to be in Cancer. Well, you're used to being loud and proud. Like, you've got that Leo rising, Venus and Leo in the first house, Sun and Gemini in the 11th. Like, you're not afraid for everyone looking at you. But with Venus in Cancer, for the majority of this month, bigger focus on kind of like taking care of yourself still. Oh, you're famous at work. I could definitely see that. It's super funny. I can't, every time I see this, every time I had a client one time who had, I say specifically, just to piss people off, especially you Virgos. It's so funny. Or especially like, I call Framps, or like you want to go see a Moopy. Like, just doing the little small things, stuff like that is super fun. But every time, I had this one client who had their midheaven in Taurus and they had Venus and Leo. It was a lot closer to the ascendant, and they were like, I was like, "Are you a hairdresser?" And they're like, "Yeah, they did hair for famous people." And I was like, "Oh my god, that is literally like midheaven Venus and Leo in the first." So I was always thinking that when I see this. But for you, Saturn in sixth house, like you're working, you're shaking your fist at God, but you're just trying to figure out what you need and take care of. But as the sun is like, the sun's like on your Venus right now too. So there's this like this radiant essence coming out as far as career stuff. Like the sun conjoining your 10th house ruler. There's this like refreshing, revitalizing energy within your career or in your workspace. Or at least you're getting more attention than you're normally used to. But you're busy with work. You're doing your thing. You're just trying to figure out what your needs are, though. Like what you actually need to take care of. And Mars is in your 9th house. Like stop for you Leo rising. Stop going somewhere. You're planning a trip and you don't even know where your destination is. How can the journey be the destination if you don't even know where the fuck you're going? You gotta at least have a destination to get to. Like you can't just hop in the car and go. Not in these times. Not in my opinion. All right, I'm gonna scroll back. Give me something besides a Leo rising and a Pisces rising. Michael Anthony X, a 96 baby. Welcome. What up? 11. Oh, whoops. Michael Anthony X. You sound like a TV show. Michael Anthony X. 11/01, 1986. 8:45 p.m. Paramaribo. Suriname? Where is that? Surrey. What is? Am I doing that right? Suriname. Oh, it's the 11th of January. What? Oh, did I mess up? And you're Leo rising. Oh gosh, you and your Leo risings. Why are you guys all Leo risings and Pisces risings? I love you guys, but you're cracking me up here. You already put yours, so I'll do it anyway. You said 11/01 or 1/11? It's in South America. Did I spell it right? 'Cause it's not working. Paramaribo. Oh no, I did. I spelled it wrong. 'Cause I'm a fucking dumbass. Paramaribo. There we go. There we go. I was like, why isn't it? There we go. Again with the ooh, yeah, that cap. Ooh, damn. Yeah. Oh, damn. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, you should just wait until February. Just wait till February when we have, check this out. I'm pretty sure I did a whole live about this, which is not, it is gone now, but it was once somewhere. But let's go to February. Look, we're going to have the sun, Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Saturn, and the moon will one day be in there too, all in your 7th house. Whew. You got a lot of relationship stuff coming up. You haven't even started yet. You're still just busy at work, shaking your fist at God, trying to figure out what it is that you need to take care of. But relationship stuff for you is definitely coming up. Let's do Toneum TV. I did your chart last time, but I don't remember anything about it. Watch, you're going to be like, I'm a Leo rising. The Leo risings are like, can you do me? Sorry, I'm a Leo, so it's a Leo, so it's okay to make fun of us. Only we can make fun of ourselves. Fairfield, California. All right. That's Sag rising. Come on, y'all got to give me. Y'all got to give me some fucking other charts here, but hold on. I got to also scroll up to my right place. Skirt. Sag rising. Oh, yeah, because you have that Margaret. Oh, my gosh. I have a friend who's born so close. Like, literally, they were born 2 days. No, only a day after you. I have a really close friend who's born a day after you, and they're a Virgo rising. And they've got that Mars North Node on like their ascendant. Oh yeah, it's just goes straight into you. It's like it reminds me of like Mars North. This Mars North Node retrograde thing reminds me of what do they do to save your like the clear like that thing? What is that shit called? Like that's what that reminds me of. I can't fucking forget it. I fucking forget words that I need to say all the time. But yeah, all the shit in Capricorn. I mean, you're a night chart too, so this is kind of like money shit's tight. The Mars-Saturn, God, that Mars-Saturn conjunction was rough, wasn't it? I didn't like that at all because I had the same thing because I have Saturn at 7 degrees. So that was fucking rough. But Mars in your 5th house, you're just trying to do what you want to do. You're trying to be crafty, trying to be creative, but you kind of just don't have the money for it right now. So once we get into Leo season, this is when you get more spiritual and you do, a psychedelic trip to understand yourself better. And then you go into the 10th house where then you're operating out of your career better. You're doing more work, Venus is in Cancer, where you're probably like, I should probably take care of that debt and maybe stop spending money that I don't have to spend. And is that all the planets? Yeah, that's basically it. Hold on. So you're a Leo sun, Sag rising. What's your moon? I'm a Libra moon. Come on. You guys should know this now. You should have people also give the rising sign with their birth info. Well, that's yeah. I probably should. That's a good idea. Also, if any of you guys want to like donate to me, that would be like super cool too. All right, next up, I think these are like Venus Viv. What's your? I know you're a Virgo, but what's the 8:50 a.m.? So you're a Virgo rising, right? We love a Virgo rising. We love a double Virgo. 8:50 a.m. San Jose. There we go. Oh, Libra rising. Oh, we haven't done the Libra risings yet. Okay. Oh, yeah, gosh. Okay. So please give your Sag rising friends money. I have a donation box on my thing that you guys should totally click to. So Libra risings, you should definitely be sitting down. You should definitely pour a drink before you listen to this. I mean, you're also starting your Saturn. You're also just starting your Saturn return too. Oh boy. Oh man, Venus Viv, you're going through it. You're going through that nodal reversal. You got the moon there. Jesus, that's not the worst, but you're still going through it. What I would say. So a few things. Let's talk about Sun and Mercury being in Leo in your 11th house. This is getting more attention and validation. This is getting more attention and validation within your community, within your friends. But then eventually as Mercury and the Sun go into Virgo and go into your 12th house, there's more isolation, a more like, being more to yourself, being more like retreating more by yourself. And then as we talk about Venus in Cancer, there is this, I mean, you're also, well, you're a day chart, but you also got Venus on your ascendant. As Venus does go over your midheaven, there's a higher calling to like, what needs to be taken place within your career. Like you've got the Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter stuff going on in your 4th house, right? There's all this deconstruction going on. Like something I see a lot of Libra risings dealing with is like, in order to have the situation that they have to take care of in their living situation, they need either more money or better situation in their career. Like that's something that I just see repeatedly for the Libra risings going on right now. Like it's always dealing with the career stuff. With Venus on top of the midheaven opposing, this is when, Venus is also your ruling planet. There's definitely some ways to connect yourself to better career opportunities. There's an opportunity to take care of what your needs are and to protect yourself. And then you've also got Mars in your 7th house where, you're a day chart. So we're talking about conflicts and fights and relationships. Mars is going to eventually retrograde too, and it's squaring this 4th house stuff. So some type of, partnership or some type of relationship, some type of individual in your life, either causing you problems or you're causing them problems and they're mad or upset or you're mad or upset at them. And there's some type of severing or cutting going on in the relationship, something to do with the home life, some individual there. So that's a thing that's coming up for sure. But that's not I think as Mars is starting to slow down though, there's a lot more confidence that you get dealing with the relationship stuff later on. I just think when you get to your birthday and you start doing the isolation and start retreating a little bit more, things are going to be a little bit more easier for you. Let's scroll up a little bit more. Who else do I have here to do? Carrie Lynn, Burbank, April 22nd, 1982, Burbank. Oh, whoops, the time is not Burbank, 8:55 p.m. 8:55 p.m. Hold on. In Burbank. I was like, what am I doing wrong here? Oh, no. Stop. There we go. Calculate. Hold on one second. Sag Rising 2? Man. Also, there should be if you just go to my Twitch page, there should, like, literally, if you just scroll down, like, right on my page, there should be a donate button. Someone figured it out one time. Okay, so Sag Rising, we get it. You're broke. We're all broke. Nah, I feel like not every Sag Rising is broke. I feel like every Sag Rising is just, like, definitely dealing with the money stuff. For you specifically, wow, you got all of this shit retrograde right here, don't you? Well, you've almost got Mars direct, though. Oh, this Mars retrograde is going to be funky. Oh, yeah. And you've got Uranus on your ascendant. Wow. Okay. So, again, trying to get your money handled, which seems to be a difficult thing for us Sag Risings at the moment. Trying to be more pursuitive and creative with what you're doing, but you're probably dealing with problems with the resources, with sharing other people's resources with this creativity stuff or with this love romance stuff. Yeah, this is almost the same thing. Dealing with money shit, dealing with career stuff. Career stuff will get better. This Mars retrograde, come back next month. You should come back next month. I'd like to talk about your chart next month. Once we have Mars actually stationing retrograde on top of your Saturn and your Saturn-Pluto conjunction you've got going on, like, there's a huge, huge change coming for you in, like, what's that one video of, like, the old woman? She's like, oh, God, I can't remember it. She's like, you got a whole storm coming, sweetheart, or whatever. Like, you guys know what video I'm talking about? Some old woman from, like, back in the 2000s. She's like, you got a whole storm coming, sweetheart. I forgot what it is. So that's what you've got going on. But this is all dealing with shit with your community or your friends. Maybe with a living situation and a living space with friends. Yeah, that's what I would say. But I'd like to talk about, I want to use you as the Sag Rising example next month. All right. Do we have anyone who's not a Leo or a Sag or a Pisces rising? Maybe a Taurus rising. You know, there's not a lot of Taurus rising people, I feel like, that are into astrology. It's like the one sign I get the least amount. Hold on. Let me scroll through the comments here. Okay, did all those. There's a lot of comments. By the way, thank you for being here. I know it's kind of late for a lot of you guys. Because I don't know what part of the world a lot of you are in. I know someone came here like last minute. I'm trying to find their chart. Oh, Island Girl 2008. Scorpio rising. Okay, let's do finally something new. I appreciate you guys putting your charts, but y'all the fucking same. Island Girl 2008. Island. I'm just gonna put Island 2008. So another fucking Virgo. You Virgos and watching me, you guys are funny. I love you all, but I don't know what you guys like about me. 10:36 a.m. 10:36 a.m. And why does I keep pushing that stupid button? Arsenal. Is it Redstone or is it Arsenal? Redstone, Alabama. There's no such Alabama. Am I spelling that right? Island Girl, am I doing this right? Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. It's called Redstone Arsenal? That's kind of a mouthful. It's like Ricky Bobby. Oh, okay. Redstone Arsenal. Wow, Scorpio rising. Okay. Wow, look at that Mercury-Mars conjunction you have. That Mars is just completely obliterating right now. Yes. And you've got the Sap. Oh, because you were born in 61. Oh my God. Oh, jeez. So you've got the Saturn. Oh my gosh. So much is coming. So much is coming together for you at the moment right now. So the sun is in, for this month, the sun's going to be in your 10th house along with Mercury conjoining your north node, Venus. Jesus Christ. You're on a sick one right now. You're on a fucking sick one. This is the climax is going on in your life at the moment. Sun and Mercury on top of your Venus North Node, Uranus here in your 10th house. There's just a lot of growth going on in your career, a lot of validation, a lot of acknowledgement in your career. Then once that goes over to your midheaven in Virgo, that's when it's like it becomes tangible. It just becomes more real. You just survived. I wouldn't say you just survived your Saturn return. You're still in the middle of your Saturn return. You're almost done. But as it goes over to your midheaven, this looks good. And I mean, with the second Saturn return too, when I deal with like clients like this, I don't know if you guys are. Some people are like in the highlight of their work. Some people are retired. Something I see with retired people too. It's so much about who you're just involved with. And what you're involved in doing. With this being in like your 11th and 3rd, this has a lot to do with your community, your local environment, who you hang around with, who's around you. But also that's the sun, Mercury, Venus is going to be in your 9th house in Cancer the whole time. So there's a lot of connection to, your spirituality, your religion this month, being more connected to that area, finding more joy, being able to take care of yourself more when you're getting more connected to your spirituality, getting more connected to your religious sense of self, your more philosophic part of yourself. But Mars is in Aries, so you're just kind of kicking ass and taking names, and you're kind of tired though. It's kind of like imagine a CIA agent, and it's like you get home, and right when you lay your head down, they're like, calling fucking Agent Badass, we need you again. But you're not like a superhero, so you need to go to bed, right? So it's like you're still pretty tired, even though you got to do your job. Mars in your 6th house, that's kind of what's going on. You're pretty tired, but you still got to do your fucking job. Nice. But I will say with Venus and Cancer, you're just going to be getting more connected to your sense of spirituality. And just Mars in 6th house is just being busy with it. But Mars is also your malefic, so this might just be being overworked, being too tired. Mars is going to be opposite your Mars. Thank you for the donation. Hey, see, someone figured it out. I'm sorry. I love that this works. It took me so long to figure out how to get this button to work to where when you donate, it just shows up. And I love seeing it show up because it reminds me that I did that one day. I was able to figure that out. Thank you for the donation, Rachel. But yeah, you're just going to be kind of busy doing your fucking thing, being like really, I don't want to say intense with it, but I would say like if you're not slowing down, you're going to see some problems come up because you have Mars in Libra in the 12th house. You're already an indecisive person as it is. And you're probably being really decisive right now, but that Mars in Libra, like, the problems that Mars in Libra causes you in your life is definitely going to be brought up with Mars opposite your Mars for a long time. So just try to be easy on yourself. Try to take care of your health. And just don't go too crazy. Don't go too hard on shit you don't need to go that hard for. And then let's go to the next people. I think there's a lot of comments I got to scroll through. Y'all got to give me a second. I'm catching up here. Sorry, I'm reading all the comments. Christina Nunya. You're next. Hey, I think I did yours last time too, because I remember seeing your name come up. Because I also remember Pontiac, Michigan. You guys are born at how like Danny Tanner or Bob Saget is like, kids do the darndest thing. It's like, man, you people are born in the darndest places. Nunya. An Aries, finally, not a Virgo. Someone who's not afraid to say it how it is. 3:50 p.m. Oh, this is definitely a chart we haven't done yet, I feel like. Let's see. I swear to God, though, if you're like a Pisces rising or something, I don't think you are. Virgo rising. Okay, we can do a Virgo rising. Yes, thank you, Rachel, for explaining to others. So Christine, I don't know. First things first, let's talk about the Sun and Mercury. So you're having the Sun and Mercury is transiting your 12th house in Leo over your South Node. So there's this being by yourself, like retreating, and you feel more confident. This is something I see with Virgo people too, especially like Virgo risings. Like when you're by yourself, when you're feeling that Leo energy's got to be by yourself, right? Like no one, like the confidence, the authenticity, it comes when you're retreating by yourself, when you feel more comfortable by yourself, when you are looking more internal, and in the part of you that feels confident or cocky or egotistical is, it's 12th house, it's repressed, it's unacknowledged, it's not something that you bring up a lot. And you also have the South Node here, so this is something that you feel like you're trying to get rid of, like you're not allowed to have it. Not saying you're not allowed to, it's just what it might feel like for you. And as the Sun and Mercury goes over this area, this can just feel like a drain, like your ego is just draining you, or your idea of what things are supposed to look like is draining you. But then once the Sun and Mercury go into your first house, this is like, hey, like I'm feeling clear about who I am. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling decisive. I'm feeling just clear. Venus where is she at? She's in your 11th house, opposite your moon, opposite your Mars. So there is this connection you're trying to make within some type of community and friendship, but it can just be kind of getting in the way. Like I don't want to say getting in the way, but you're used to just kind of doing 5th house stuff, so like intimacy, love, romance, like very Capricorn style, like not by the book, not very like intimately. And Venus in Cancer just might be a time where you need to hold maybe a more open space for some friends. I mean, you've got a Sun in Aries in the 8th house. Like you're a pretty intense person. Maybe be a little bit more relaxed. Like, yeah, you got Venus on the descendant in Pisces. Like, you know how to be fluid with stuff, but this is definitely a time to just be more intimate, open, caring with your friends. Maybe you'll have friends that care for you if you're going through a tough time. That would definitely be a thing. But you're also having Mars in your 8th house right now too. So I would say that tough thing is probably true, because having Mars in your 8th house sucks, because it's like, it's also about to go over your Sun. It's your malefic of sect. So there is or malefic out of sect, I should say. So there is this, anger, tension, conflict, burning, decreasing of 8th house stuff. So shared resources, other people's money, debts, inheritance, death. There can be this just extreme, almost just anxiety and uncertainty around a lot of things. And that Mars is just kind of picking up, the pace there, right? It's kind of like Mars and Aries in the 8th house is like someone's getting pissed at you, and you don't know if they're pissed enough that they're going to like actually go after you or not. But you just know that they're mad. I know that all kind of sounds scary. I don't think anyone's going to come after you. I just think Mars on top of your Sun, like, it's not the end of the world, and it just feels really scary. And like Mars in the 8th house along with your Sun, it can just feel like you're being backed into a corner right now. And like a lot of people just react when they're backed into a corner, right? Like, it's that fight or flight mode that comes up. So try not to have your fight or flight mode come up this month. You've got Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter all in your 5th house, which makes it really hard to have fun. Like you've got Mars and the moon in Capricorn in your 5th house. Like your version of fun is like paperwork and like contracts and like, fucking, regular Capricorn stuff. Thank you, Melissa, for the donation. I appreciate you. But try to just, I don't want to say lighten up. Like this is just, you're just kind of on edge. And so, if you're on edge, like, take some melatonin, take some CBD gummies, you know what I mean? Or, read a book, go walk by the river, by a babbling brook, and like listen to it and calm down. Find ways to just like release that tension. Because I think that's just a thing with the Sun, Mercury going over your South Node. Like find ways to release Like, find ways to release and drain. I've got time for this last, I think there's like one more time I have on here. And then after that, I think we should call this one. I did Christine Nunya, and then, oh yeah, there it is. Drew is 147. Cancer rising. Boom. Boom. Ending it on a Cancer rising. Drew is 147. Better known as Dragon Master 784. So, Drew is, where were you born? And what time were you born? Are you there? Oh, Orange, California, 508. Okay, got it. Never mind. 8/1/95. And Orange, California, or time, 5:08 a.m. 5:08 a.m. in Orange, California. All right, what's Cancer rising? Ooh, look at your chart. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. But so Drew is 147. It's your birthday coming up, so you're gonna have that Sun and Mercury. You're feeling confident, feeling like yourself. It's in your second house, dealing with your money, your finances. You know, probably feeling pretty good about what you've got. For the most part, about what you have. It's also trining your Jupiter and Sag. Kick ass. Night. Fucking sweet. So that's exciting. Venus hour just started. Yeah, that seems pretty cool. But once the Sun and Mercury goes into your third house, this is just feeling like a lot more logical, a lot more clear. It's kind of like, you know, like, I don't know, as a guy, like you get like, when you have like facial hair, like if you let it grow out for a while, like you feel like weird, and then like you shave it and you cut it and like you're like, yeah, I'm back to normal. I'm back to how I was. I'm sure everyone feels that way with like either like their natural, like regular top of their head hair. It's like you let it grow out for a little bit longer and you feel like weird but then you cut it and you like feel like you go back to normal. Like that's the Sun in Virgo, I feel like, for you, Drew, is. And then Venus is in Cancer in your first house, so you're probably getting a nice haircut, or you're looking good and people are enjoying you, or you're enjoying yourself. There's this interconnection to you. Like you've got Saturn and Jupiter and Pluto just fucking your descendant right now. So relationships are kind of a struggle, but if you're like single and like looking for a better situation, something might definitely come up, just because Venus is in Cancer and opposing all of this shit. So there might be some type of like, you know, good opportunity, maybe not with relationships, maybe you just feel confident about yourself and you feel better about yourself to where you can, you know, connect more with other people. But it's Mars that is just kind of, you've got too much shit going on in your career right now. And with this Mars retrograde, you've got something in your career that you're building up to, but you're probably going to have to change your mind on and make a plan B for. Yes. So Tanam, I just set this up. Time Nomad. I talked about this in my YouTube video for the apps. But Time Nomad, this one, someone taught me that on Time Nomad, let me put it here so it actually focuses in. On Time Nomad, it tells you the planetary hours, and you could set an alarm to where it sends you a notification when the hours change. And someone told me about that. I was like, I don't know why I haven't done that before. So I did it. But anyway, Mars in your 10th house, like you're just going to be doing a lot of shit with your career that ends up like, I mean, also it's opposite your Mars and your moon. Hey, another Leo sun, Libra moon. Don't you love it? But you've got the sextile, so you're a lot chiller than mine. My moon is square my sun, so I get my own way a lot. But Mars on your midheaven, then eventually retrograding on your south node. There's some type of change up in your career that's coming up that has a lot to do with your living situation. But I'm sure you're not the only one going through that, because that also just sounds like something like a lot of people are going through at the moment. But for you, it just sounds like a lot of work is building up, and you're going to end up having to do some type of plan B with your work shit. Not in a bad way, but just kind of like just something that doesn't end up working right. But in the meantime, you're still probably enjoying yourself and having a lot more fun this time. And it's your birthday, and you enter you're just going into your second house perfection. So the sun's your time lord. So this is a lot better year than last year. You had the moon on Mars as your time lord last year. That could have been like, you were like really private to yourself, very more about your living situation. This year's going to be more about your money, your pride, feeling good, all that kind of good shit. So yeah, and I think that's everyone I got to do. And thank you for wishing me happy birthday. I appreciate it, you guys. It's about to start in like 40 minutes. I think I'm just gonna, I don't know, do nothing. But 2 hours and 24 minutes. I made it this far. And 13 of you made it this far with me. So that's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know how many people made it with me this far last time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I meant to do this earlier, but I was tired, so I took like a 4-hour nap today. I was like exhausted. I didn't mean to do it, but for September, I plan on doing this again because I think I really like this setup. I'm going to try to do it at a decent time to where I can actually get more people on here, and to do more chart examples and stuff like that because that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I thought this was good. I'm glad you guys were here. Let me know what you guys think, too, once I'll probably post this. I think probably on Thursday. I'll probably post this on YouTube. Let me know what you guys think about this and everything like that. I think I don't have anything. I don't think I have any other message to say. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys. If you're watching the recording of this too, thank you for being here, joining me on this 2.5 hour long excursion through August of 2020. It's a pretty intense month, but it looks like, I don't know. I don't want to say good or bad. We're going into the peak of 2020. So we'll just figure it out when we get there. It's both good. It's both bad. It's all gray. And so it's up to you to decide if it's gray leaning black, gray leaning white. So, but yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for being here. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys. And thank you for donating. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. And I'll be seeing you guys next month.